Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have an offensive lineman I'd like you guys to meet. This here is Brant Banks. He's an offensive lineman from Rice University, previously out of Nebraska. Brant, how you doing, man?
Good, good. Happy to be here.
Uh, Happy New Year, man. Wanted to get you on here and learn more about you as a prospect. Obviously, have an offensive lineman here with some good size and athleticism. So, Brent, why don't you go ahead and get us started, man? Introduce yourself and let's get going.
Yeah, so my name is Brant Banks. 6 year college, 6 year. Got my COVID year, and uh, finally, I say finally, coming out and for the draft. Excited to see what comes in the future.
Yeah, of course, a lot of guys these days get in sixth, seventh, 8 years, you know,
Trust me,
uh,
it's now.
pulling eligibility out of the thin air, and then getting extensions. This is college football. This is the day and age that we're in. But hey, Brent, obviously, a lot of people know you as a big offensive lineman. Again, of course, uh, began your college years at Nebraska, finished up at Rice, but I want to take it even further back. And so let's start from the very, very, very beginning, not like as when and where you were born or that sort of thing, but when did you first started playing football?
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't ask about when and where. You'd have to ask my mom about where I was born. Couldn't even tell you. So I'm from Houston. Born and raised here. Started playing. Honestly, I feel like I've been playing all sports from since before I can remember. Whether it was YMCA or Little League football at the time, because my middle school didn't have a football team. I have an older brother who also. Let me start with my dad. My dad played college football at Texas State,
Okay.
so and he has a lot of families in football, and so it was always something that we were going to do, and we loved doing, and we wanted to do with our dad. My brother went to play because he was 2 years older than me. Went to play for the Little League, and then as soon as I could, I was a bigger kid, so as soon as I could do it, I was out there with him, and I actually got to play up on a couple teams, and I got to play with him, which was awesome. Uh, we had 1 year together in Little League, and honestly, that time and when he came to Nebraska were the only times we played together, and it's super special getting to play with your sibling, especially your older brother who you look up to.
Well, I guess maybe for some people, it just depends on your relationship, I suppose, with your sibling. But
Yeah,
it's nice that you had a good enough relationship with him that you guys could play together. Again, while you were playing. You played a little bit in high school or
I
together or no?
did. Yeah. So funny enough, I freshman year I went to St. Thomas. It's a high school in Houston. That's where my brother went, and then I transferred to Westbury Christian after my I did sophomore year. And funny enough, I was more of a basketball player through middle school and in eighth grade and coming up. I mean, freshman and sophomore, I'd say I was more basketball. And then I transferred to a basketball school, which was Westbury Christian. We were not to brag on us, but 21 out of 24 years when I was there, we won state. So it was no brainer for transferring there for basketball. I played football that whole time as well. I played my freshman year. My sophomore year, I actually transferred during football season, so I didn't get a chance to play. And then just kept playing. Played baseball as well. And then it wasn't until my junior year. I was always kind of a taller, lankier kid. 225. I was probably 6'8" at the time. Still, I'm a taller guy, so obviously they're going to put me on the basketball court. And my junior year, it kind of started building a little bit more muscle and getting a little bigger. Nowhere as big as I am now, but I kind of saw like I always loved football more. I loved that you could be physical, that you could hit people. You can't do that anywhere else in the world besides on a football field. You can't legally put your run through someone's face, but it's a great place. And so when I kind of started getting bigger my junior year, I was like, I can do this. I can continue to play, and started getting recognized by some coaches, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But yeah, and it was kind of one of the best things that could happen to me at the time because, like I said, I loved it, and not that I was ready to hang up the basketball shoes or whatever, but is kind of time. I don't think basketball could have taken me as far as football has up to this point.
Cool. So, you again, like you said, you were at two separate high schools. Second high school is more basketball oriented, but obviously, again, played some football there as well. Um, how was your recruiting coming out of high school, and how did you ultimately end up at Nebraska?
Yeah, so like I said, big basketball school. There's a lot of NBA players that went there. We played a lot of big time schools, and I don't know if you watch basketball, but some of the guys we got to play against DeAndre Ayton, and it was just me versus him. And between I guess me, you, and whoever watches this, he had 2 points in the first half, and then probably 60 in the second half. But those first half stats are pretty good. Uh, yeah, the recruiting there was good. It was hard in the sense that I think I was one of the first people to go to a Power Five or to a D1 school for football. It's happened for basketball, but it just hadn't happened for football, and so it was cool because it was new, and for some of the coaches they had played in college at smaller schools, but it was kind of an exciting time for everyone, because obviously for me it was my first time it happened to me, and for them it was kind of the first time they've been through that. So funny enough, we ended up having a great team. When I look back at who we had, do you know Adonai Mitchell? He's Adonai Mitchell went there his freshman year. I didn't even know he was in the NFL until last year. We had quite a few guys that are coming out this year that were there. But yeah, so it was a basketball school who had some diamonds in the rough. I, we didn't win a lot of games. We went to state the first time, my junior year when we were playing, and it was a great experience. Getting recruited there. Like I said, it was new, but it was awesome. All the coaches coming to the school, and it's all the kids seeing people wearing Baylor shirts or Nebraska shirts, or all the schools walking around. It was pretty cool.
Nice. So when you get recruited, you get to college. What was it for you? I mean, were you recruited basketball and football? Did you walk on to one program? I don't know how that worked for you. I'm just kind of curious because I know you did play a little bit of basketball during your time at Nebraska.
Yeah, so when I was recruited out of high school, I got recruited by some smaller schools like San Houston State and schools kind of in that conference for basketball. But my first offer was from Baylor for football, and so that's just another level of football. And when I got Nebraska, it's hard for a college or for a high school kid not to want to commit to a school that they fly you out and they have 90,000 fans every game. It's a pretty good selling point. So I did not walk on. I can tell you about the basketball thing, but yeah, I did not walk on for basketball anywhere. It kind of just happened. So
Well, I mean, I'm just kind of curious because I mean, at least at the D1 level, it's very I don't know, it just doesn't happen too often where you get a guy who ends up playing two separate sports at the D1 level. And so that's the reason why I ask, because sometimes what happens is they get the scholarship in football or whatever,
yeah,
and then they walk on to the other team. And I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know how your scholarship was, but obviously you had an opportunity to play both. And so, certainly a very unique situation for you. So, um,
yeah,
again, Nebraska, you talk about that school. I mean, most people know Nebraska. Nebraska is they're all about football. They're all about their football program. It is what it is. It has a rich history. And so talk about what it means to be part of that program. And of course, coming in, I mean, I know it had to be, I don't know, challenging at times with like the flux of, coaches and stuff that were happening.
yeah. Yeah, so it meant a lot to be part of that because it's like you said, it's a rich football program. We had a lot of the old guys come back to our practices and they come talk to us all the time. We had some on staff. I mean, even our head coach he won a natty there, so it was cool to see that history unfold. and to be a part of it, honestly. Um, it's it's a very special place. Also because it's the only school in Nebraska, so they treat you like you're an NFL player. But yeah, I definitely think that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I definitely think that it's a great place. I'm happy I went there.
Cool. So, let's talk about your overall experience. I mean, of course, you ended your time at Rice over these past couple seasons, but let's look at your overall experience as a whole. I mean, when we're looking at you as a player, as a prospect, I mean, certainly an offensive lineman, great size and athleticism. But along that offensive line, where have you started the most? Where do you have most of your starts over your career?
I'd say tackle. I played guard every snap last year, and I played at tackle every snap this year. So, but I did start at tackle at Nebraska. I started I think at 21 we played Illinois. Um, I got decent reps. Most of my reps from Nebraska came to tackle. So they were definitely split down the line at Rice. I played both. So, and I played guard in Nebraska as well. So by now I played everything but center, both sides.
Well, I mean, it's not very often where we get a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", whatever, playing center. It's not really the kind of guy I want right in front of my quarterback
Yeah,
with that sort of height. Usually, you're looking for a guy just a little shorter.
yeah,
So
definitely not ideal.
necessarily want you playing center unless we're playing basketball.
Exactly, yeah. Especially because our center, who I did play with, I'm happy for him. Cam Jurgens, he just got invited to the Pro Bowl, so I
Yeah,
don't think
he's
they would put me there.
obviously some great offensive linemen over the years. Part of a good programs for both schools if we're being real about it. But different schemes.
Yeah.
So how would you compare the offenses of Nebraska and what you have experienced yourself to what you did for Rice these past couple of years?
So I would say in Nebraska, I like to say this to people. I'm sure you already know this. Everyone runs the same plays. They just call it something different, especially the line. But at Nebraska, it was a little bit simpler. At Rice, it is more of an intellectual school. So I think that our coaches and our coaching staff, we had a lot of NFL experience in our coaching staff, and they brought up part of the NFL coaching playbook. So we had definitely a lot more calls and a little bit more intense playbook, but it made sense, and it helped us. It was just an extra call here, extra call there, and I think it was very, very pro style from what I understand. And we definitely aired it out. I don't know if you got to see any of the Rice games, but I'm proud of our O line this year. We protected pretty good. I think we're fourth in the country for least sacks, and we probably threw it about 80% of the time.
Well, hey, I mean, if it's to any credit, I mean, I think when people look at the history of Nebraska, if we're being real, like we're looking at a completely different type of ball.
Oh yeah,
Um, and so, you think about that program, what they've been able to put together really throughout their entire history. Most people say, hey, they established the run. That's very important to them. It's changed a little bit these past couple of years,
yeah,
but generally that's kind of been their bread and butter. And then, of course, being a part of Rice, I mean, things change a little bit more open, if we're being honest. And
yeah.
again, like you said, I mean, you guys are airing it out. So, and
Hmm.
with you guys airing it out as much as you haven't given up too much.
Yeah.
Um, cool. So, Brant, you bring a lot to the table as a prospect. Of course, being a part of a couple of different schools where you're utilized in different ways. The versatility of playing multiple positions. Um, Other than perhaps those things, is there maybe something else that you feel separates you from the pack for guys at your position?
Yeah, I think I, you know, I think I am pretty intellectual. I got my MBA at Rice, and did pretty good in it. I think that it's a big part of being an offensive lineman is being a smart guy, and that's definitely helped me, especially through transferring to a school like Rice. My athleticism, I think, really separates me, and that's kind of what's been, especially when I first started at Nebraska. I was a pretty much raw offensive lineman. I hadn't played a lot. I actually went to Nebraska's defensive lineman. I got switched pretty quickly, if you can guess. But yeah, so I hadn't played too much. I played in high school, obviously, because I played both ways. But my athleticism really helped me to, stay competitive in that position. And I think that's something that's kind of always been my biggest strong suit in the game and in the position.
Yeah, and as you're coming into a program, sometimes kids are in that spot, man. I mean, where they move from offense to defense. So it's not unheard of. And
Yeah.
of course, when we get a guy of your size, if we are being real, I want a guy your size in the offensive line. Like
Yeah.
I think you're better utilized on the offensive line. It's not that there aren't guys that play defense that are your size. It's just you get a guy with great length. You get a guy that can keep obviously defenders at bay. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
that's that is the best use for an athlete like yourself. So
Yeah. To
um,
be honest, I should have seen it coming. That was the only offer I had at D line, so the writing was on the wall. And
hey,
I'm happy that I switched though because offensive line is I feel a lot more brotherhood, and that's kind of one of my favorite parts of the games is the brotherhood you build.
and you still have opportunities where you can utilize some of that aggression maybe that you miss from being a defensive player where like you're most of the time most of the offensive linemen who I talk to they love moving forward more than they do moving back because
Okay.
it's just the nature of the aggressive mentality of a player, so
Yeah.
it's fine. So
Yeah. You definitely get that on the O line.
gotcha. So, again, let's talk about you as a guy growing up in Houston, Texas, man. So you're growing up in Houston, Texas. Who are you a big fan of growing up, man? Is there a guy playing the offensive, maybe defensive line, or a particular team or whatever? Can you talk to me about your personal fandom as a kid?
Yeah. Growing up in Houston, it's hard not to be a JJ Watt fan. My dad played D line in college. I thought I was going to. I mean, JJ Watt was such a good role model in the community. I like he was on I think every commercial back before we had Netflix. It was if he was the guy, and so I think I loved watching him. Especially what he did at Houston. I was a little heartbroken when he left, but it's okay because he still loves us. He came back a little recently to get his. I think he got his jersey retired a little like last year.
I mean, future Hall of Famer, no doubt. Like
Oh,
without no question at all. Give it a few years, he's in. Like
yeah,
it'll be unanimous, of course. Like, bro,
yeah,
everybody loved JJ Watt. If you don't love JJ Watt, something wrong. I don't care what
yeah.
team you support, who you cheer for. Like JJ Watt's a dude, first of all. Like he's a really awesome player. But again, like off the field, with all the stuff he did, yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard not to love him.
Yeah, it's impossible, and it's kind of a funny story about him. So, my mom was out eating at a restaurant near NRG. We lived kind of near it, actually, and JJ Watt was in there. She told us the story. I would have been mortified if I was there. JJ Watt was in there, and she went up to him and asked him if he played at Rice, and he was like, "No, man, I'm on the Texans." Just like most humble guy like he is. Like he's not gonna be like, "No, no."
Uh,
Great guy. I think I might have died if that happened in front of me. But
okay.
yeah, so he's just such a humble guy, and I love that about him.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully your mom's okay with that story. We're not trying to throw mom under the bus,
She thinks
but it
it's funny.
happens to the best of us, so it's okay. Um, so obviously been part of Nebraska and finished up at Rice. Um, bro, these last 2 years really haven't been great, if we're being honest. I mean, you're part of a team that I don't know. It's a very, very competitive conference, if we're being real. I mean, a lot of great talent in that conference. So let's just kind of give the credit where it's due. But you guys are struggling through it. When maybe things aren't going all so great, where's your motivation come from?
Yeah, like I was talking about earlier, it's the brotherhood you build. Like, I don't think there's any other position in sports where you play, looking away from the ball or the thing that you're the object of the game. So, I mean, that and the quarterback, right? Like, you do everything you can to protect those guys, and it's that type of position. So, I think there's a lot of motivation there. Like, last year was hard. This year, like you're saying, really hard. I mean, we went to a bowl game last year, but bowl game didn't go great. But yeah, it's that drive to want to be good and want to be great for the guys around you and put out that best performance you can every Saturday. And regardless of the outcome, just know that you did your job. You led the offensive line to play their best and just control what you can control.
Yeah, but even though maybe perhaps it may have sounded like we have said, hey, this sucks, it's not like you haven't been part of some great moments, some great games.
Oh yeah,
So go ahead and shout it from the rooftops, man. I mean, give me some of your best games.
yeah. I can tell you my favorite game in college, and it was last year. We played Houston at home, and we, we were beating pretty good in the first half, and they started slowly coming back, and getting a little more into the game, and we ended up going to overtime, and I mean we were dog tired. It was probably 9 o'clock. It was late game, and we went to overtime. Then we went to double overtime, and we ended up winning with this amazing catch by one of our receivers, and just that feeling because it's a big that's a rivalry game. That's a trophy game for us, and it's something we talk about, a lot. And just the holding that trophy after that game, especially feeling how we did, putting it all out there, and it was just amazing. The feeling was great.
Cool. I want to give you an opportunity to give some love to people. First of all, some teammates. Most impressive teammates for you over the years, and maybe some guys still at Rice.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about my guy Ethan Onyanwa. So he was the other tackle. He played left tackle this year. He was right tackle last year. So I never got to play right next to him. I kind of hoped I would eventually, but I didn't. He's one of the most impressive guys I've played with. He's he I, he's like a neuroscience engineer major. I mean, something crazy smart. His sister got a full ride to MIT. Like they're that type of family.
Wow.
Crazy smart, and just the way he works is incredible. Like, I mean, me and him, we're obviously going to compete. Like, we love to compete. Like, we'll be on the jump thing while we're lifting the force plates, and but what'd you get? What'd you get? And he's like, no, no, it's that kind of deal. But he's seriously a great player, and he actually just committed to. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if he released it, but
Okay.
he's
Yeah,
transferring it.
let's just cut it because obviously
Yeah,
if you've got some things in the works, let's
yeah.
let him announce it.
Yeah, I was about
I
to
know
say, I'm
you
glad.
also played against at least one really good edge rusher on Rice. So let's give some of your I don't know practice school guys some love.
At Rice, yeah. Oh, yeah, we had great guys. Josh Piercy, guys built like Hercules, one of the probably strongest looking guys I've ever met. He's a great player. I'm happy to have gone against him every day at practice. He made me a lot better. Him and then Michael Daly was one of our transfers this year. He came from BYU, and he was fast. And I love going against the faster guys because they're harder to play, in my opinion. The big guys are going to run through your face. An offensive lineman should be bigger. We should be able to, sit them down. Granted, maybe Nick Bosa and stuff like that, but we should be able to sit down a power rusher. But when a guy's going to come off the ball that fast and edge rush and run the loop that fast, it's fun to practice against that because you get to get challenged every time. And so I love that he transferred in. This is his first year. He has like 2 or 3 more years, so I'm excited to see what he'll do.
I think some people forget sometimes it is the smaller, twitchier guys that even NFL teams want to see.
Yeah.
So Nice to give a couple of your guys some love. I know there was a point where I actually interviewed Percy, actually last year before he decided to return. But a good dude there, who I know he's got a lot going for him himself. So I want to meet the guy off the field for just a minute. So, Brant, anything else about you that you want to share with the people, whether it be interests, hobbies, any perhaps special talents or fun facts about yourself? I mean, you've shared a lot. I mean, coming from a very athletic family, and then even some of your academic achievements over the years, been able to do a lot of great things. Anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I can shout out my wife. I actually got married last summer in Mexico, and my wife, she played volleyball at Nebraska, and volleyball at Nebraska is like, you know, Georgia football, Alabama football. That's the place you want to be. And she's a hell of an athlete. She's four-time All-American there, and now she's a professional volleyball player. And my dad always gives me crap. He's like, finally got a real athlete in the family, and I just, I love that I have her because she understands what it takes to be an athlete. And, right now we're apart, but, we're okay with that because she's pursuing her career and so am I. But one thing we do love doing together is just kind of dumb games, like we'll play pickleball against just her family. We'll play cornhole, anything we can do to kind of compete. It's cards. We used to get in fights over playing like Wii tennis and stuff. I mean, she was good at Wii tennis. That kind of got me going. But stuff like that. We love playing games. We love cooking together. Shocker, a lineman loves to cook, but living up in Nebraska, coming from Houston, the food just it's not the same. So I had to learn how to cook.
So, are you a cook? Do you, I don't know, think you're a cook? I mean, I don't know, is that the mentality or what? Or do you,
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like it when I'm in the kitchen. I got a smoker, a Blackstone. I got all the fun toys, and we'll throw down some good stuff. We put on our first Thanksgiving this year, smoked a brisket and turkey, and deep
Neat.
fried a couple turkeys. Made every side you can think of. So yeah, we go pretty good in the kitchen.
I definitely have to say, I envy the ownership of a smoker. I would love to own a smoker.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I'm sure that's next level, for
Yeah,
sure. So
she got it for me, and I think it was one of the best purchases she's ever done. Like I had used that thing. I mean, I'll smoke salsa. I'll throw stuff in there and see if it's good.
gotcha. I want to throw a couple more questions your way again, more or less just for fun. So, um, uh, favorite football movie?
I like Remember the Titans. I mean, I grew up watching that. I know that's like a generic answer, but
It's a go-to, but it's a good one. It's
yeah,
fun.
we
So,
we, we grew up and that my dad was we had a little TV in the back of the car, and that's what was usually playing stuff like that.
gotcha. Trying to think. Favorite sandwich?
Sandwich, huh? I don't know. I probably I make this great one at Subway, and to be honest, I couldn't tell you what I put on it until I go there and I just point it out. But it's top tier.
Okay. Anything else about your hometown that you want to give a quick shout out to? I mean, again, growing up in Houston, I mean, uh, any places there that if I were to come visit that you'd say, "Hey, Jimmy, let's check out this joint."
Yeah, definitely. Well, food aside, because I think anywhere you go, you can eat good food. Probably Republic Boots. I did a deal with them a while back, and I'd never been there. And it honestly is kind of a place that you can go and hang out. Like it's a cool little thing. They have live music on Fridays. It's down in the Heights, so pretty poppin' area. It's a cool place to go if you're ever in town.
Nice. Well, Brand, it's been nice getting to know you as a person and player. Again, we're looking at a guy with some great size and versatility, quality athleticism, that I know some scouts are really interested about you at the next level. As we wrap things up, go ahead and address those people. Tell them why they need to sign you, draft you, and bring you, in as a part of their team. So, close us with your final thoughts.
Yeah, whoever I sign to is going to get a guy that loves football, loves his teammates, and loves to be coached. An athletic guy, and I pride myself in being intellectual and getting the playbook down. That's going to be the first priority for me. And hard worker, and I'd say I'm pretty disciplined.
Got you. Again, a lot of great things going for you as a prospect, Brant, and want to wish you all the best moving forward. Okay.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Sure, man. Once again, we got Brant Banks, offensive lineman at Rice University. Check him out.